Welcome to my yoga studio. For our practice today, we need a sticky mat, 2 blocks, 1 belt, 3 blankets, and a bolster. Good morning. How about some yoga today? I would like to start this class with opening the superficial back line. For this, I will take a blanket and I'm going to fold this like an accordion, 3 folds. Now you can make this fold as high as you like. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing with it, and that will determine your height. I'm going to put my feet onto this blanket. Most of my foot and only my heels are grounded. This is stretching your calves big time. Say hello to your calves. That's something you can do at any time actually. I usually do it when I brush my teeth. I roll up a towel, put it under my feet, and I stretch my calves. Another great way to do this is on the stairs. Hold on to the railing, put the front of your feet on the step, and then push your heels down as much as you can. And it's very important to stretch the calves because the calves, of course, are related to the hamstring. And if your calves are tight, your hamstring is tight. And guess what else happens? The lower back gets tight. And that's why we have lower back pain. So stretching the legs, especially the calves, is very important. It also keeps you flexible. It keeps the ankles flexible. You know, in Indian philosophy, they say that you die from the feet first. So the feet are very important to keep flexible. How long do we stay here? Well, we stay here until something moves. You know, your muscles can't hold on forever. At some point, they're going to let go. That's what we're looking for that small awareness of this discomfort going away, and you can say, oh, yeah, I feel different. This is letting go. So that's the point we're waiting for. My calves have let go, so I'm going to stand off the blanket, and I'm just going to close my eyes for a second. I invite you to do that. And notice what happened to your balance. I don't want you to fall over. Make sure you're still stable here, but we are trying to notice very small moves. It's the awareness in yoga that we're trying to create. I'm going to get rid of the blanket, and we're going to go into a standing pose called Tadasana. Tadasana is Sanskrit for mountain pose. We're taking the feet about hip width apart, and if you want to draw an imaginary line, line up is very important. You would take a line from the 2nd and 3rd toe towards the heel. So make sure you're lined up with the vertical lines in your sticky mat. And then I'm going to make my foot as long as possible by walking the metatarsals, which are these pads that you have on the feet as well. Just lift them up and walk them forward. Stretch your feet as much as you can. Then bring the toes up, separate them as much as you can, and push them back down. You know, our feet are always in shoes and they get squeezed so much, and we pay much too little attention to our feet. And in yoga, we try to create a really long foot. So we're really moving up, having a long foot. Then look at your ankles. Your ankles are immediately above the heel, so we tend to stand too far forward. So I'm trying to get you to stand in a really strong way that you can sustain for a long time. What we need to do is, it's usually the thighs right here that are pushing forward. So we're going to push these thighs back just a little bit so we can say, oh yeah, now our leg is exactly over the heel. That's where we want to be. Now think of your hip here. Your hip is shaped like a bowl. The bones in your hip make like the pelvic bowl. And that bowl, imagine, is full of water. So you don't want to spill the water forward or backwards. You want to keep it just right. So the hip, of course, needs to be in line now with the ankle as well. Now we come to the spine. That's what yoga is all about, the spine. Your spine has these natural curves, And these natural curves need to be supported with the muscles that you feel left and right. We want to keep that natural curve. Think of your spine as a tree growing out of the bowl. So one vertebra on top of the next vertebra until you come to the crown, and imagine your head being attracted to the ceiling, like a tree growing. We want to make sure that our spine is following the natural curves, but also is expanded as much as we can. You see your ribs attached to the spine, and you have little muscles in between the ribs. They're called intercostal muscles. And those are the ones that you eat when you have a barbecue, make, barbecued ribs. These little muscles between the ribs need to be expanded as much as you can. That's what we're doing in mountain pose. And then your shoulders, they're just hanging here. So take an inhalation and roll the shoulders back. So your shoulder blades are now closing in the back. They're coming together more, and they're trying to slide down your back. And I always refer to them like they're angel wings. So tuck in your wings, the shoulder blades. That's where your wings will be attached to. And then your shoulders are in perfect position, lined up over the ankles again. Your chin probably needs to come just a little bit back and look straight ahead. And now take an inhalation and feel the mountain pose. Engage the arms down and make yourself as tall as possible. So it's this counter stretching in yoga that is so healthy. So close your eyes, engage the arms, feel the natural curves in your spine, and make the legs really strong. And remember this is mountain pose. So if someone would actually come up in the back of you and push you on the shoulders, you would not go forward or backwards. You would be solid as a rock. That's why it's called mountain pose. That is mountain pose. Your head is attracted to the ceiling. Your feet are glued to the floor. Your legs are very strong. Shoulders are in line with the hip, over the ankles, and the arms are engaged, drawn down strong. Mountain pose. Now I'm going to continue with this. We're going to do a different variation. So I want you to inhale. Bring your arms close to your ears, as straight as you possibly can. Do not bend the elbows, just keep them completely straight. And if you're flexible enough to actually bring the arms together, the hands together up here, then you can interlace and turn your fingers out, your hands, and push that middle finger up towards the ceiling. So now we're going to take 3 breaths, and with each breath we're going to grow this pose. We're going to inhale, and on the exhalation, think shoulders come back down. Another one. And on the exhalation, think about the shoulder blades sliding down your back. Last one. And we're going to come down, shake the hands. We're going to interlace one more time, or you can bring up the arms straight, whatever you like. But if you do interlace the other way, the way you not normally do. Inhale again, bring the arms up. 3 inhalations from here. Create a lot of space on that exhalation between the shoulders and the ears. 1 more. Grow out of that torso. Make it as tall as you possibly can. Exhale. We always breathe through the nose. Last one. And let go. You probably just grew a 1/4 inch right now. And now we're doing another variation. I would like you to inhale one more time, and you're going to grab the right wrist. Grab it tight and stretch out on the inhalation. And on the exhalation, you're going to come over to your left side without moving the hip. Keep that hip in place. And again, another inhalation. Stretch. You really should feel this stretch right here now. Expanding the ribs. And on the exhalation, come down a little more. We're working with very small increments. Last one. Stretch out before you come down to your maximum this time, and come back and just take a breather. And notice Is my right side just a little bit different than my left side? Those small changes are important. That's what we're trying to become aware of. So again, inhale. Grab that left wrist and pull it up to the sky. And on the exhalation, you're gonna go to your right side. We're gonna do 2 more. Pull out of your body first and then move to the right side. Last one. Come to your maximum for today and stop. And we're going to continue stretching against the wall. I want you to take your right foot forward and take a big step back with your left foot, making sure that heel is still lined up with the lines in the sticky mat. And then you're going to walk these hands up as high as you possibly can on the wall, reaching, keeping that right leg straight and trying to press that right hip back. We're going to just take 3 inhalations. On the inhalation, try to think even higher, and on the exhalation, keep engaging that right hip to go back. A little higher. 1 more. You're going to feel this in your calf and in your hamstring. And then we're going to lower those hands, and we're going to push with the right knee against the wall. The hands come about shoulder width. Push that right knee into the wall. This is almost a back bend for some of you, and you really feel this in your calf now on the left side. And maybe a little bit in the thigh right here on the right leg. Again, take 3 breaths and push. Exhaling the discomfort in your thigh or in your, wherever else you feel it. For me, it's the calf. Calf usually talks the loudest. Last inhalation. And come back. We're going to switch the legs. Left foot forward, right foot back. Walking our hands up as high as we can, keeping that left leg straight. Pressing into the heel of the right foot. Bringing the hands up as high as you can, and take 3 breaths. On the exhalation, think about the left hip going back. Maybe a little higher still. The last one. Bring those hands back to about shoulder height. Push that knee right forward over the toes, in line with the toes, not lifting up that right heel, making sure it stays on the ground, and getting into that calf. Keeping your arms perfectly straight. Last inhalation. Work as hard as you like. If you're sore the next day, you work too hard. And we're going to do 1 more variation. Right foot forward, left foot back, and now we're going to bring those elbows about shoulder height to the floor. You can interlace your hands and push. Push that right knee against the wall, making sure your left leg is still lined up. You're going to get deeper into the calf and hamstring and press the shoulders down. Always work in the pose. Work and see until something gives in and something lets go. You're going to feel that in your thigh as well. This is strengthening for the thigh. Switch your legs. Shoulder height here. Pushing the walls with the elbows and bringing that left knee over the left toes, making sure you're still in line with that right leg. 3 breaths. Last one. Give it all you got and come back. You're going to go right into Ardha Chandrasana. You're going to need the block for this, and we are starting out with a yoga stance. Now, a yoga stance is a different distance for everyone. I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to take your left hip to the left heel. And from here, you're going to stretch the right leg. And this distance is your personal distance for the yoga stand. You're going to bring the left foot in 45 degrees. And you're going to line that right foot up. So if you would draw a line from the second toe on the sticky mat towards the left foot, it should end up about in the middle of the foot. That's how you know you have the perfect yoga stance. So in Ardha Chandrasana, it's a balancing pose. You're going to need your block. We're going to get in and out very slowly. We actually have to enjoy the feeling and the control of getting in and out. There's a lot of emphasis on getting in and out of poses. So stay with me. Take an inhalation. First, we're going to bend that right leg. The right block comes to the end, and you're going to push off with that leg, and at the same time open your body. Open it so the shoulder can come to the wall. So you have your right shoulder on the wall and your left shoulder. And you're going to stretch from your head to your feet. And at the same time, from this arm here, right up to the other arm. So we're stretching like a starfish, and the stretch comes right from here, integrated from the center, making sure you don't lock that knee. It's just going to be very strong. And this is a balancing pose that eventually is going to be done in the middle of the sticky mat. But for today, we're going to do it against the wall to make sure that you're feeling very safe. And now we're going to get out of this pose and make sure that you bend that right leg first and bring the left leg down very softly, under control. And we simply switch our feet. Take the block in the other hand. Again, inhale. On the exhalation, come down. Place that block and open up at the same time as you're bringing that foot up, that leg. Stretch the arms, making sure that this hip is against the wall, that hip is against the wall, so is this shoulder and the right shoulder. Stretching out, stretching the toes and the fingers. We want to be nice and long here in this body. And we're just going to breathe, keeping the pose, paying attention to all our limbs, not locking the knee. One more breath. And bend that right leg and come down very controlled and softly. Walk your feet in. That's the healthy way to get into the right stance. And we're going to go back to the mat and lie down. And now we're going to continue on the floor with Supta Padangustasana. For that, we're going to need a blanket for softness. I'm going to bring the blanket into the middle of my sticky mat and a little pillow. So I'm going to place this on top of the sticky mat and the belt. So I'm standing at the end of the sticky mat, sit down on my blanket and just lie down, making sure that my blanket is right by my shoulders. And we need to make a loop with this belt, so I'm going to show you how to make a loop. We take the buckles and take the end of the belt, bring it through both buckles, and then we're going to open them up and we're going to bring it back through the first one. This allows you to make the loop as big as you like. And I'm going to show you why, because everyone is going to have a different loop. We're going to take this around our right foot and we're going to hold on to the loop. Now, some of you might have a really big loop, and it can be as big as, like this. It really, I'm going to show you how this is determined. You're going to take your left leg and you're going to put it in line with your hip. And then you're going to place your left hand underneath that natural curve that you have in your back. It's called a lordosis. And you're going to keep it there. And now pay attention of how far you can bring your leg up before that curve goes away. Now that is the limit that you want to bring your foot to when the curve of your lower back goes away, because it needs to stay there. It's very important for your hips to be working in a healthy way that you have this natural curve. So for me, I've done this before. I know my loop is about this big and I still have my natural curve. And to make sure it stays there, you're going to take your left arm and you're going to bring it over your head close to your ear. Now what you want to do is you're going to push this belt as hard as you can to really activate your calf muscles and your hamstring. This is a hamstring stretch, most of calf also. And what you want to do is you want to hold on to the belt, pushing this foot up to the ceiling or against the wall, and your shoulder wants to be drawn back to the ground. So it's that counter stretch again that you have. We're going to stay here for just a couple of breaths, making sure that the left side is just as activated as your right side. We're going to breathe. Shoulder is drawing to the floor on the exhalation, and think on the inhalation of pushing that belt even further up into the sky. So we're going to do 2 more breaths. I hope you feel this. I'm pretty sure you will. And work to it until it starts to let go. When that discomfort starts to go away, that's when you know, okay, I can go on. Everyone will be different, just like we all have different talents. Some people are more flexible, some people are stronger, some people have better balance, but that's what we do in yoga. We try to get an equal balance of all of our talents. Now the other thing I'm going to do from here, I'm going to need my bolster. We're going to go into different variations. I'm placing my bolster right here on my side. I'm going to turn my entire leg to the outside. This is to really make sure that your hip, your femur bone, is placed the right way in your hip socket. You see your femur bone sort of looks like this. It's the largest bone in your body, and your hip has a socket, and your femur bone fits into there. And we want to make sure that it's grounded before we do any of these stretches to make sure the hip is in a healthy, happy place. This rotation is really important. Rotate to make sure when you're now coming down, very slowly on an exhalation, that the toes would actually reach the floor before anything else. And you're going to go as far as you can. If this is too far, then take your bolster, roll it a little closer. That prohibits the leg from going any further until you feel this inner adductor stretch. This is an adductor stretch, and you need to feel this, then you know you're doing it right. In the meantime, check that leg, make sure it's still in line with the hip, bring your arm back, and just let gravity help you here to stretch that right adductor. You're going to take a couple more breaths. Exhale the discomfort if you feel discomfort. Make sure that adductor is activated. If it's not, then you probably don't need a bolster, and that leg can just go right straight down to the floor. But the left hip needs to stay grounded as well. It can't go with it. The left hip has to stay. It's really heavy here. You have to almost think like there's an elephant sitting on that hip to make sure it's still grounded. Let's just take 2 more breaths. And on your last exhalation, you're going to bring your leg back up to center. You're going to take your bolster, move it to the left side. Now we're going to switch hands. Your left hand will be holding on. Your right hand is still going to check here. Make sure you still have that natural curve before we're going to bring that leg over. We're going to roll it all the way over to the left side. And I want you to keep on going with this stretch. Don't even bother stacking the hip on top of each other. That right hip has to go even further. So it's going as far as you possibly can. And you take your right arm above your ear, and you're going to bring your upper body back to the blanket. So your right shoulder is now attracted to the floor and wants to come back. So we are now in a twist. And twists are very happy. They
they're not really happy. They make you happy. They're rejuvenating. They are really wonderful for your organs because you might feel your breath being a little bit restricted here, which is exactly what we want to do. See, you still need to breathe, and your inhalation should still be very deep. But what you're doing here is you're giving your organs a massage. And I always see the kidneys here will be very happy. The kidneys are, the fluid in the kidneys is being extracted and they're allowed to take on new fluid. This is a wonderful twist for your kidneys. And at the same time, keep your legs really straight. Take one more breath. And we're going to come back. And I would like you to just take the belt off and lie down, close your eyes, and see what just happened. What's different between the right side and the left side? I want you to notice and become aware of what just happened, what all this stretching just did to your body. You might all feel different things. I'm not going to lead you on, we're just going to continue. I'm going to take the left foot into the belt. Now you might need to adjust this because, you know, we are different on each side. Our heart is on the left side, so our organs are not symmetrically placed in our body, and neither our legs. One leg might be a little bit longer than the other, or a little bit stiffer than the other because you happen to be right-handed, so same thing happens for your legs. I also like you to make sure that you stretch the toes on both feet. These toes need to be separated. That really continues and ensures the stretch going all the way up to your foot, to your toes. And that's what we want to do here. You're going to feel it in your calves and in your hamstring right here. And just really push that foot up to the ceiling and try to bring that shoulder back to the ground. So it's this pushing and giving and stretching, which is making sure that our legs get the proper toning. And again, we're going to take an inhalation, and on the exhalation, you're going to twist that leg to the left side, and you're going to drop it down onto that bolster. Again, do not bring up this hip. Remember, the elephant is sitting on here. This has to be close to the ground and really heavy. Check the alignment, making sure you're still aligned. Right hand goes above. Stretch that right side while you're stretching the left adductor. And just hang out here, let gravity help you. And we're just gonna breathe. Take 3 breaths on this side. Nice deep inhalations. Remember, your lungs go all the way underneath the collarbones here. And on the 3rd exhalation, you're going to bring that leg back up. Going to switch bolster, right side. Going to switch our hands. We're going to drop that left leg onto the bolster. And again, roll it over further than your hip to make sure that this particular twist is perfect. What you want to do is you want to twist from deep inside the core, right here around the belly button region. This is where your twist is coming from. And that's why your arm is right next to your ear. And you try to bring that left shoulder blade against the floor. Of course, it won't happen, but that's what you're attracted to. You're trying to twist so the left shoulder will now come down. And just keep on breathing. Remember, this is really good for you. And if there's slight discomfort, just exhale the discomfort. So deep inhalations. Exhale, see if you can come a little closer to the ground. Always work the pose with your breath. Inhale, pushing in that belt. Exhaling, see if you can come a little closer. Last inhalation, really stretching all your limbs and letting go. Take it all off and notice what you're feeling. Do both sides feel the same? I hope so. If not, If you still feel uneven, you might have to repeat one side or the other, depending on how flexible you are. And from here, we're just going to roll over on our right side. We're going to take that belt away. We don't need it right now. And the bolster goes back. And I would like you to roll over on your stomach. And now I like to show you Shalambhasana. In Shalambhasana, we're going to walk our hands out as much as we can. It's almost like walking your upper body out of your hip as much as you can to have a really long back. And then you're going to bring that right arm up and keep your head in line with your back so you're looking down. And raise that arm. You're going to take 2 more inhalations, and on each inhalation you try to raise it just a little bit more. So second breath, deep inhalations, third one, and exhale and come down. Going to do the same thing now on the left side. Going to inhale, really stretch that arm. Keep looking down. Another inhalation. And your last one, give it the most you can. And dropping down. Same thing we're going to do with the legs. You're going to lift your right leg. Now I want you to make sure that you're lifting it the right way. First, separate the legs just a little bit to make sure you're feeling your little toe. The top of the little toe is important here. So we're stretched out, feel the top of the little toe, and then raise that leg with the first inhalation. Now make sure when you come back down to the ground that the top of the little toe comes down first. Another breath. And then your maximum. Bring that leg back, left leg. Again, it's very important to feel the top of your left little toe. Bring it down and check to make sure it's in line. Second breath. Stretch that leg back and as high as you possibly can. Exhale, bring it down. And now we're going to do it diagonally. We're going to lift the right arm, the left leg. We're going to inhale. And on the exhalation, think even a little higher. One more. And to the ultimate. It might not be that different, but just give it the most that you can for today. Going to do the left arm, right leg. Stretch and breathe. Last breath. And come down. And now we're going to do all limbs at the same time. We're going to fly like Superman. We're going to breathe. Inhale, look down. Make sure you know where you're going. Keep breathing. A little higher. And now you're going to turn to the left. Big turn to the left. We're going to turn to the right. Nice big turn to the right. And now we're going to dive. We're going to look down. Hands are stretched behind us. Legs come as high as you can. We're going to take a big, big dive. One more inhalation. And exhale and rest. Rest until your breath is even. And then we're going to go into Bhujangasana. Bhujangasana, we won't need the blanket for this. I want you to bring your upper body up as high as you can. Now, again, it depends on flexibility of how high you can possibly come up here. So take your legs back straight. They want to be together. Ankles want to be together. And you're going to walk your elbows underneath your shoulders. And your hands are just holding onto the sticky mat. And now I would like you to pull your upper body out of that hip again. Keep pulling to ensure there is a lot of stretch going on in your lower back. And from here, we're going to lift. And what I would like you to do is pay attention to the shoulders right here. On the inhalation, you're going to think up. You're going to push down with your wrists and with your hands into the ground as much as you can. And on the exhalation, keep pulling out again. So we're going to take 3 breaths here. This should be very obvious. You should see how my shoulders are rounding. I'm looking down and I'm pulling my body out of my hip. So again, try this to as high as you possibly can. Your legs are still heavy on the ground, grounded, and you're pulling on the sticky mat, and you're really pushing through the shoulders. We're not hanging in here. This would not be good. This will be crunching, so we need to be up here. So again, take 1 more breath. Pulling and pushing those shoulders back up. And then we're going to come down, and we're going to do this with the belt. Bhujangasana with the belt, lifting your chest up as high as you can, bringing the arms back. And if you don't need the belt, you can interlace your fingers and pull back down. Pull those shoulders down and raise your chest and look down. And again, take 2 more breaths if you can, otherwise just go and rest. This is a lower back strengthener right here for the sacrum area. The sacrum is a triangular shaped bone right here in your lower back, and when that gets out of whack, oh, it creates so much havoc. That's why we have lower back pains, and it's really important to not just stretch this area, but also to engage these tiny little muscles to keep it stable. I want you to just keep your forehead on your arms and just take a breather and rest. You know, yoga is performed for everyone differently, and this is not a military class, so anytime you feel like resting, you don't have to keep on going with me. You just rest, take a breather and rest, because everyone's energy level is different every day, and we can't expect to always perform. So anytime you want to go into child pose or just put your head down, just rest. And now I like to show you Setu Bandha. We're going to use our arms and hands to push ourselves back up. We're going to not need this blanket. Or this one. So I'm just going to fold them up. And we won't need the belt either. What I like you to do is you're going to sit down into the middle of your sticky mat, and you're going to walk your feet close to your hips. Roll down. I'm walking my feet close to my hips, so I can either hold on to the back of my ankles, or if that's not possible, you can just grab the sides of the sticky mat and hold on to the sticky mat. I'm going to grab my ankles. I'm going to walk up as far as I can to my hips, grab my ankles, and now I'm going to need a block, and put the block between your knees. And you're going to squeeze that block. Make sure you don't drop it. And from here, you're going to press your feet into the ground and bring your thighs up towards the ceiling. So I'm going to press even further. I'm going to press really hard, and I'm going to roll my shoulders under as much as I can. And now I'm going to work with the breath. On the inhalation, I'm going to push with my feet so my chest comes closer to my chin. And on the exhalation, I'm going to think even a little bit higher up with the hip. So we're going to do this 3 times. You're going to push and then press the upper body closer into your chin. 1 more time, push even a little higher. Press that upper body into your chin. Take 1 more inhalation and come really high up onto your toes. Let go of the shoulders and come back down on a very long, slow exhalation, feeling every vertebra at a time as you're coming down until you hit your lower back. take your time and enjoy this feeling. This is a great feeling. And just take a breather, still keeping that block between your knees, pushing. This actually is very good for your lower back, because if you don't happen to have the block, sometimes the knees go too far apart. That's why we put this block here. And it protects your lower back around the sacrum area. We're going to do it one more time. This time we're going to do it with the breath. 3 breaths. On the inhalation, push up. Keep inhaling, the arms go over your head. Push those feet, making sure the upper body comes closer to your chin. And then you're going to exhale again. We're going to do it 2 more times. Inhale. Push the feet, chest comes closer to your chin, maximum, and come back down. Last time. And push on the exhalation. Raise the toes and lower your upper body very, very slowly back down to the ground. And now you can take the block out, and we're going to just put the arms to the side, and you're going to let the knees drop to the right, and the left one will follow. So you're keeping the feet just where they were, and let the knees drop over to the side. Now, whatever feels better. If you want to have your palms up, put your palms up. If it feels better to have your palms down, palms can be down. And we're going to feel this tremendous twisting right here. There's a stretch going on over the hip flexors and into the waist. Try on every exhalation to bring softness right here into that waist area. So take a few more breaths. And the knees just fall as far as they want to go. Softness into that stretched area right here. Last breath. And on the exhalation, you're going to bring that left knee up. The right one is following. Take a breath in neutral. Stretch those arms out and drop the left knee to the left side and let the right knee follow until you feel that stretch here on the right side, all the way into the waist and into the hip area. We're now stretching the hip flexors, the tensor fascia latae. This is really nice and healthy for your hips. Two more breaths. If you feel your hip hopping, or not the hip, if you feel your back, if you feel little vertebrae adjusting, that's actually good. Yes, that's good. It means your spine is still flexible and it can adjust. Last breath. And move again on the exhalation. And just close your eyes. See what happened. See what changed. And then I'm going to show you child pose. This is one of my favorites. You're just going to bring your knees up to your chest and you're going to hug your legs like this. Now, if you do happen to have knee pain, which is not what we want, any kind of knee pain is not good. So if you had knee operations, take your hands to the back of the knees, place them right in here, and this will allow that the knees just to be more separated, and the meniscus, which is this donut right here, has a little bit more room, and it will feel much more comfortable for you. I'm teaching you good pain from bad pain, but knee pain we cannot tolerate. It should actually never be pain, it should just maybe be discomfort. But if you ever feel anything really sharp, that wouldn't be good either. Then you just stop doing what you're doing and just go in a resting pose. And this is upside down child pose, which is a resting pose. Make sure you still have a long back. You want to feel all the vertebrae all the way down to your tailbone. Take a couple more breaths. And on the next exhalation, you're going to roll over onto your right side
and we're going to go into Shavasana. Shavasana is the hardest pose of all. You're going to make yourself a nice little bed. You're going to take the blankets, unfold them. If it is cold for you, you can even take a blanket to cover up. I'm going to use one for a pillow. And the other thing you want to make sure is you want to have all your limbs either on the sticky mat or on the blanket. You should not have anything around your feet that shouldn't be there. You're going to lie down. You can also use a pillow, a little eye pillow if you have. I'm going to walk you through all the different adjustments. The first thing I want you to do is bend your legs. Lift up your hip and bring that sacrum towards your feet. And then you're going to stretch that right leg, drop it, and let it fall to the right side. Left leg, stretch it as much as you can, drop that heel, and let the leg fall to the left side. Now you have really long legs and a nicely stretched body. You're going to take your head, you're going to curl it up, the chin comes to the jugular notch, and you're going to stretch these 7 cervical spines, place them back down. And now you have a really wonderful stretch in the upper body as well. Now we have to get these shoulder blades under. The way you do that is you lift that shoulder and hold on to that right elbow and bring it towards the navel, which then folds down that shoulder blade. And do the same thing on the left side. You're going to lift the shoulder, take that elbow towards the navel and fold in the shoulder blade. Bring the elbows down, palms up, facing up, and let them rest next to your body. Now I want you to close your eyes and try to see if you can make these eyes very soft, like they're floating in a puddle of water. Very soft eyes. And then I want you to feel the skin around your cheekbones, how soft it is there. That's the kind of softness you want to have all over your face. And then I want you to go to your mouth and separate your back teeth just slightly. Peel the tongue off the roof of your mouth and let it rest between the bottom teeth. And touch the lips just slightly. And take the energy from the center of the lips towards the corners and curl them up. So you have a wonderful, pleasant expression, completely relaxed. Then I'd like you to swallow and concentrate on that throat. Also, your jaw muscles should not hold on. If they do, just move your lower jaw a little bit left to right, making sure that they're relaxed. And I want you to take an inhalation, a nice and deep one, and collect everything that's in your mind that is not good, anything negative that happened to you that still lingers with you, and let that go away with the exhalation. On your next inhalation, I want you to capture all the positive things that happen, that are with you, that make you happy, and let all that stay in your body. And your breathing will take on a very natural rhythm. You don't have to do a thing. Your chest is raising and lowering by itself because the diaphragm is doing all the work. And we're just relaxing. We're going to go scan down our arms. There's softness behind the elbows, in the wrists, and your fingers are slightly curled up. Then you scan back to the chest, down your stomach and your belly. Make sure that none of these muscles are holding on. If they do, just squeeze them a little bit and let go. Then you know they're not. Then go through your hip area. Your glutes are flat on the supports. And then your thighs are relaxed, softness behind the knees, flat calves, and your heels are touching the supports, and your feet are just falling to either side. Come back to that heart region, and that's where you're going to stay. We're going to hang out there for a while. We're going to stay in Shavasana for about 10 minutes, and we're not going to move a bone in our body. That's the hard thing. And even harder, actually, is the mind. I want you to control your mind, and the breath is the only one that can control the mind. So the breath is the one that
just needs to keep on going in its natural rhythm. And whenever that mind comes and wants to present you with a thought, you're just going to acknowledge it, but you're not going to deal with it. You're just going to say, okay, thank you, but I'm just going to stay in Shavasana and I'm going to deal with you afterwards. That's the tricky part, keeping that mind silenced. And I want you to go into a deeper level of consciousness and stay there and hang out. You're not going to fall asleep. You're just going to stay in a deeper level of consciousness. Now that's what yoga is all about. It's being in the moment and bringing the mind into silence. And on your next exhalation, I would like you to start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. We're going to come back from Shavasana very slowly. Stretch out your right leg, your left leg, your arms. Wiggle around a bit. Keep your eyes closed and roll over to your right side into a fetal position. We're going to open one eye at a time very slightly, just cracking the eye open. Letting that light adjust very softly. Take a couple more breaths. And only when you're ready, you're going to use your hands and your arms to push yourself up into a seated position of your choice. Drag that head. And you bring your hands together in front of your heart. Thank you.